Hello, I am Nindy Kerr of Nindy's Creative Corner. Today we will be making a card with a little envelope insert using our envelope punch board. The envelope size I need is for a 3.5 by 4.5 inch card. So down here, 3.5 by 4.5 is right there. You need a 6 3/4 by 6 3/4 inch paper, and our first score line is at the 3-inch mark. Since I want this side to show, we will score it this way. You put it the 3-inch, punch, score. Don't score too hard with designer series paper or you might tear it. Rotate it. It's much easier to find your score line with plain cardstock. Okay, punch and score. Although it's much easier to find the scoring groove with the designer series paper. Punch. And for our last one, line up, punch, and score. Although with designer series paper, I usually like to do it on the opposite side. See, I did do it a little bit too hard. If that happens, just a little piece of tape on that part. That was probably my first line. Now, since this paper has a top and a bottom, you do want to make sure that when you close it up so that it will open properly. So get out the Tombow glue. And there we have our little envelope done for our card. Okay, for this card we will need Primrose Petals cardstock cut at 5.5, which is that way, by 6 1/4, which is right at the edge of the white mark on our paper trimmer. And we will score at 4 1/4 as usual. Although it won't be in half this time, make sure and use your scoring blade. And we will go ahead and fold this. Now, my sentiment measures 2.5 inches. And so, we are going to measure 3.5 inches up here. And punch. Remember last time when I talked about the little scoring window? Well, we're going to line this up right with the edge of it. Put it back down and punch to get the first part of our file folder type flap. We'll bring our paper trimmer back in and cut off this extra part. Here's the groove here. Just line it up so this bottom is in the center of your groove. Might help if I line it up next to the... Okay, there, I think that's it. If there's a little rough part, you can either trim off a little bit more, well, I'll trim off a hair more. Okay, there we go. And just smooth it out with your fingernail. There we have our flap. I was watching a video and the lady talked, well, she showed an example of something she had done with her envelope punch board, but she didn't show how, so I figured it out, and we're going to use that embellishment on our card today. Okay, we are going to make a little embellishment. This is a 1.5 by 5.5 piece of cardstock in Raspberry Ripple. Punch, move it down to 4. Well, I started out 5, now 4, now 3, now 2, now 1, and now line it up at the edge of your the left edge of your little window, and you get this nifty little design. We're also going to repeat it with a 1-inch piece of primrose petals. So punch one of the edges at the 5, and then a 4, then a 3, then a 2, and a 1, and the little edge of the window. Now with a 1/2-inch piece of Raspberry Ripple at the 5. Yeah, just make sure you keep everything up at the edge, up at the top part right here. And then 1. And now at the, this is the part where it's hardest to see the edge. So you can make several designs with these depending on how close you want them. And if you line them up the same way or offset them, of course then you would like longer strips of cardstock to start with. But that looks pretty cool, but we're just going to do them all straight this time. We will get our card. And I found it works easier if the card is flat, providing you can see the score line. Start with the larger piece. Oh, I should stamp first, never mind. Okay, we are going to stamp Happy Birthday from Bring on the Cake. Since I never seem to have enough birthday cards. Line it up. If your sentiment is different than mine, just measure how long your sentiment is and add 1 inch, and that's where your first punch mark will be. Alright, now let's glue this on. Here's our, I just want to keep this edge even and make sure the bottom is even. Now let's do our center one, just making sure that they're going the same direction, unless you want that other look, but I want them all the same this time, so. And I tried to center them, so we're about the same at the top and the bottom. Now this one is the real fun one to put adhesive on. Glue would probably be easier, but since I'm using snail, I'm just going to use snail. And then center this one also. So, you've learned how to make a file folder type tab and an embellishment using your envelope punch board. Okay, let's finish up our little card by gluing the flap. Just put a thin line of glue close to the edge. Press it down for a bit till it stays. Okay, let's start our little card. I have a 4.5 by 7 piece of cardstock scored at 3.5, and I'm going to punch around all the corners with our envelope punch board. Make sure and stick it so it's secure against both of the sides right here, and punch. That one didn't turn out quite right. Must have wiggled it. There we go. Okay, let's color our stamp. Remember, the wide edge is the brush tip. I should say the wide line on the outside. Let's color the cake stand raspberry ripple, and also the little candles, and just try not to get the flames. We will color around the cake in primrose petals. Up, over, and oops, down. I think I got a little bit of the word. So just wipe that off and then recolor. No wonder I get all inky. And then we'll color our flames Daffodil Delight. Now the most important part, open your mouth wide and breathe on it to re-moisten all the ink. I usually do 4 or more. There we go. I guess I did get a little of that. So we are going to color inside of our cake. There, now no one knows we colored those words. The next one will be from the Happy Birthday from Perfectly Penned. I've decided people who name some of the stamp sets like to see how well we can really pronounce all these things. So inside is enough room to write a little note or tack on a gift card using a couple of glue dots. Fits perfectly inside of our little envelope, and fits perfectly inside of our card. There you go. So now you have a nice little birthday card with a surprise. I mean, give them something a little different than just a plain card every once in a while. They'll appreciate it, and you'll have some fun. So, happy stamping, and visit my blog for more ideas on card making and other paper crafting ideas. My blog is www.nindiescreativecorner.com, and sign up for my mailing list and you will get 3 different projects every month that are exclusive just for my newsletter subscribers. Happy stamping!